All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming this evening. Here's a little roadmap of how the evening's going to go. First, I'll just make sure that we introduce everybody for anybody that doesn't know the Strata staff or who we are or what we do, and an overview of the evening as well. And then we're going to have smaller discussions about this idea of success. In little breakout rooms, they will be guide-led discussions, just so everybody gets a chance to talk and you feel like you're actually a part of these discussions as well. So you're not just kind of sitting there behind a screen, just listening to Michael, who can go on. We're going to come back and find some similarities and try and unpack this idea of success. And then we have a very special guest today, and her name is Natalie Reary, and she is an alumni of Strata. She was here for 3 years, for grades 7, 8, and 9, or first, second, third year. She came from a public school and is now in grade 11. 11. Thank you so much. Now is in grade 11 at a public school. And I'll have lots of time for questions for Natalie as well, and a wrap up to officially end the hour, but the guys are actually going to stay on from 8:30 to 9 if you have any burning questions that came up from this hour. We're so happy to talk about it and to discuss these questions with you. So that's actually all of the Google slide that we're going to show, because this is not a slideshow presentation. This is a discussion. My name is Michael Rode. I am one of the adolescent guides at Strata. Thank you so much for being here. To my left, and everybody's anywhere, is Justin Metz. Justin, if you just want to say hi quick.
Hi quick.
That was better than I could have expected. Another adolescent guide. We also have Chef Mel Mudali. You want to say hi as well?
Hi as well.
Here we go. I love it. I'm very happy. I'm having a great time right now. Mel, another guide and advisor. We also have Lisa Savard Kwong. If you can say hi, okay?
Hi, okay. Can you tell we're all adolescent guides? Because
Yeah, exactly.
we are still a bit trapped in our own adolescence. Hello, everyone.
Another advisor and guide. We have our French specialist and loomer extraordinaire, Donna Mulder. If you want to say whatever you want.
Oh shoot, I didn't hear what you said, so I can't repeat it.
No, that was better than what I could have said. That's good. Thank you, Donna. Our administrator, Sky Tage Collins, is here as well. Sky, if you want to say hello.
Hello.
There's so many people here. Did I forget anybody? Just say hi. Okay, great. And I'll introduce Natalie as well. Natalie, our former alumni, grade 11 student. Kate Milley is here. Tony Evans is here, blah, 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 blah. So why did we want to talk about unpacking this idea of, I just want to set my child up for success. I just want to set my child up for success, which is a lovely, beautiful sentiment. I'm going to tell a quick story. We were giving a tour to an international family a few weeks ago at Strata, and they were very on board. They were on board with the grounds. They came at a time when the students were engaged in really purposeful work. Tony Evans was there going through some really interesting math concepts with the students. Siham Bujabi was there up in the science lab working on some mold observation or something along those lines. Donna was working on the students on some spoken French as well. And the child and the parents were very invested, and they wanted to, jump into Strata right away. They had lots of questions, we answered them all. And then right at the end, just as they were about to leave, one of the parents said, "This is all great, and this is fantastic, but I just want to make sure that Strata is going to set my child up for success. I just want to set my child up for success. And this is ad verbatim. These were the exact words that these parents asked. And that was the impetus for our discussion tonight, because she wasn't the only one who asked this question. I'm sure every single person here is thinking or has thought that exact same thing. We're in the Montessori system right now. Yes, the child is doing developmentally appropriate work, materials, social cohesion. They are working to the best of their ability. But are we setting our child up for success? Am I setting my child up for success? And this comes from a place of really deep love. I conjecture, I don't know you, as I can't look inside you, but I conjecture that this comes from a place of really deep care and deep love. So here's what I would like to do. Oh yeah, one more thing I want to say before we move into these breakout rooms and talk about this idea of I just want to set my child up for success. We had a parent education in the fall, and in the fall, it was right near the beginning of the year. If you were at the fall parent education, can you just give a little clap or thumbs up so I can get a sense of who's there? Just do that as we talk. It's really easy to be whimsical at the beginning of the year, to be idealistic at the beginning of the year as well. We're just getting into things. It's been the summer. It's easy to feel really great about how everything is going. But now is the time. It's kind of this February time. It's re-enrollments. You've all gotten these report cards, these reports as well. Now is the time where that fear, I'm assuming, that fear kicks in. But where are the results? What is my child learning? And let's try and unpack that fear just a little bit. So in these breakout rooms that we're going to go to, I'll ask 3 questions to think about. I'm so sorry, I should have said at the very beginning. Here's a question to think about. This idea of success, and I just want to set my child up for success. My question to you is, whose voice is in your head when that question comes up? Could be I don't know. It could be anybody. Could be your mother's, your father's, your partner's, a mentor you had when you were younger, your own, your child's, Natalie's, could be anybody's. So think about that question and your definition of success as well. And I'd like to kind of take those into our discussion. So Kate, are the, okay, why don't you get everybody into breakout rooms? I might lead, can you just make sure, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, Michael, Justin will lead one and Lisa will lead one.
So we've got actually 4 rooms. Is that okay? Or do you want 3? Because you've got 4 will be enough for everyone to have a chance to chat. There are 6 people in each room and you'll have 10 minutes and there's at least 1 guide in each room.
Thank you so much, Kate. I really appreciate it.
All right, here you go. Opening rooms, 10 minutes, y'all.
That was a quick 10 minutes.
Did you get cut off mid sentence?
We were perfect. I was very impressed with everybody spoke. So briefly, I'm just the leading guides are just going to talk maybe 2 or 3 points that came up, and we're going to try and correlate those points and find some comparisons and contrasts for that. So I might just start quickly. A word that came up for us often was passion. Passion and purpose were 2 of the main words when you're journeying towards through your life with passion and purpose. The idea of this love of learning as well. And a sense of agency was a word that came up. And Deb spoke about this idea of making a difference and providing as many educational opportunities possible for a child to be able to open as many doors as they can. Doesn't matter what they do, as Paul Riss said. Being happy is really important, and doesn't matter what they do, but having those opportunities. Right, why don't I throw it off to Lisa?
Yeah, we definitely had some similarities there with the idea of authenticity. So finding and connecting with that feeling of authenticity and giving yourself the time and space that it takes to really connect with that. One thing that came up for us was the reflection piece. Again, allowing yourself time and space to think about what you're doing, what you've just done, so that you can either learn and grow from how you're moving through the world. And that sort of tied into something else too, which was, how do I react when I fail? So when I reach a challenge, how do I pick myself back up? And I thought the reflection piece, and that tied really nicely together. So those were our big takeaways. We got cut off though. We were just getting in there. So
thank you very much, Lisa. Shall we throw it off to Justin, please?
Sure. Thanks, Michael. I had a really woke group of parents in my group. I can say woke because I'm young enough to say that word. Christy said, it's not about you, it's about your child's dream. And I think we all resonated with that. And we talked a lot about how our versions of success have changed over the years as our children develop and come into themselves. Our ideas of success is changing. And that was one thing that we talked about a lot as well, is wanting our children to be themselves. Are they laughing daily, Michelle was saying? Are they joyful? Are they driven by something that's inspiring them on a daily basis? These are things that are really important, but more important than maybe, what kind of career are they going to have? Are they going to be financially sound? Shannon was saying. But we want our children to be their authentic selves. Shannon said she hopes that her children can have their head held up high. And it was really interesting because she feels like once they have that confidence, once they have that authenticity and confidence again, that all the other factors will come into play, the finances, the career, all those other ideas that we have of success. Once they believe in themselves, those things will follow. And I thought that was really cool as well. And Christine got cut off right in the juicy part of it. We were also talking about a lot of our ideas of success for our kids are driven out of fear, driven by the unknown. Sometimes we try to control our children's success by guiding them towards success in the only way that we know, in a way that worked for us, but their lives are different. They're growing up in a different era. They're growing up under different circumstances. It's not the same. So it's this balancing act that we're trying to do. So it's really good. We got right into it, like right off the bat. So thank you, everyone in my group, and thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much, Justin. I promised Tony that he actually wouldn't have to do anything for this PD, that he could just come as an observer, and he had to practice his approving nod. And I lied. So apparently he actually had to do something. So Tony, if you'd like to lead up the fourth group, please.
Yeah, so the best part is I actually had the best group by far, so it's fine. What we sort of came up with, it was really interesting because almost everyone went back and forth. There's the two sides of how we look at our children's success, which is I want them to be happy and have intrinsic emotion. I like this, making decisions that bring them joy. A couple of people said this, sort of like good choices around the work that they choose and the friends that they make. And those are big definitions of success as we know in our own lives, right? and the truest version of themselves. And we talked about that they need a safe and supportive environment in which they can be vulnerable to get there. And I think that's one of the things we work really hard at. And that each child will have a different version of success. So there isn't like, oh, this is what success looks like. And I think that comes back to knowing themselves. But there was also this thing that kept coming up over and over, and it came up in sort of different ways with everybody. But this idea that we are headed for harsh realities, and that our children need to be open to a failure and learning from that. They need to be able to struggle and to assess that struggle and work through it, because that's always what catches people up. And so this two-sided coin of like moving towards the positive, but also having the resilience. We sort of looked around, and each of us has had in our work, because like really some challenging years that we'd never, none of it. Oh, I thought that I'd run a school through a pandemic with all the children wearing masks. And no, that is not what that is what happened. So being able to bend and bend with that stuff and find the best solution and not let it weigh you down.
Thank you very much, Tony. There were some very interesting through lines throughout these 4 different discussions in terms of vulnerability and authenticity, finding the truest version of themselves and of yourself, which is a beautiful segue to our special guest today, who I think all the guides feel like is the truest version of themselves. So we invited Natalie Reary here today to speak about her experience coming from a public school into Strata, staying the 3 years, developing the skills at Strata, and then moving towards a public high school afterwards, and the skills that Natalie took. But I don't need to talk. So Natalie, thank you so much for being here. And we want to hear from you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, hold on. Oh, wait, Natalie, I'm so sorry. I really apologize. Mel, was there another group that I forgot?
Everybody forgets the 5th group.
No. Oh no. Okay. So we call this friendliness with error, in that we all make mistakes, and modeling how to authentically make a mistake, I think really allows those that are just looking at us as role models how to make a mistake. So Natalie, I want to apologize. Would you be okay to wait about 3 minutes before you speak?
For Mel, yeah, of course.
Yes. Mel and group, we also apologize wholeheartedly. If you'd like to speak whenever you're ready, please.
Natalie knows that she can always wait for me, and I'll always wait for her. Michael, this will be reflected in your lunch tomorrow. Our group, we talked a lot about at the beginning about success and what we thought of success, and a lot of it was around contentment and sort of shying away from material success as opposed to emotional success. And then we were discussing the tools that the kids might gain for our perception of success, and how they, how the different sort of career paths or choices that they make might be affected by the tools that they gain now. And then the last part of it was a discussion about how success parameters change as you get older, and how your actual vision of success morphs, I guess, as time goes on. Yeah, that was the sort of breakdown of our discussion. It was just sort of getting going, and then we stopped. It was kind of, you just wanted to do that. But yeah, that was it. And now back to Natalie. Sorry, Natalie.
Thanks, Mel. Always leave them wanting more, right? Showbiz. Okay, thank you for waiting, Natalie. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so hi, my name is Natalie. As they kind of said, I'm an alumni. I'm in grade 11 now, and I live in Cambridge, actually, which is a little bit of a drive. But me and my family all thought that Strata was more than worth it. I kind of have an interesting experience because I went to CASA, actually. I went to CASA, and then I went to public school up until grade 6. Then I had the amazing opportunity to go to Strata for grade 7, 8, and 9. My grade 9 year was kind of cut off because of COVID. We didn't get to finish the whole year in person. And then I went back to public school for grade 10, 11, and I'll finish high school there. Also, I think it's kind of interesting that I'm here right now because, as Mel kind of said, your parameters of success kind of change, I think, especially based off like the current society that we're in and how generations adapt and change. I think that probably my idea of success is far different than my parents, but I think that that's really interesting because what they deemed as worthy of giving me success gave me the opportunity to kind of change those guidelines and figure out what I think is success. So anyways, Michael gave me a few points that he wanted me to touch on, and Strata is like the best experience I've ever had in my life. I never shut up about it to any of my friends, so I could talk on and on about it. So I'm going to try and like keep within like a reasonable time limit. So really quick, I just wanted to touch on my experience coming from public school to Strata and then switching back. So the biggest change coming from public school to Strata was definitely like positive, obviously. I really felt part of the community. I felt part of a community, period. I was accepted, I was welcomed, I was introduced to all these amazing new experiences. The canoe trip, which I was terrified to go on and is one of the best things I've ever experienced in my life. And I am literally the most happy I've ever done that. It was so much fun. The bike trip, which I was also really scared to go on. And then it was so much fun. And my second year one was even better. And then all the way up to being like a cafe manager and like planning like festivals and all these things. So at my public school, I wasn't really like, you wouldn't really see me as like an academic person. And I didn't really have a lot of care for school. I didn't really think I was good at school. And it was kind of just like something where I would go and like see my friends, and it was kind of just like annoying. And then I came to Strata, and my entire grade 7 year, my quote was, I feel like I'm at summer camp because it was so fun. And then I looked back on it and I realized, well, yeah, it was so fun, but I also got so much confidence to do better in math from Tony. And I learned French concepts that I never heard before. And I was planning these events, and I was talking about Indigenous issues, and I was doing all these things, and I gained so much, but like almost in disguise, because it's such a welcoming, like fun, safe environment. And I think that those are things that are really valuable to adolescents. I actually was just talking about this in an assignment I did. Adolescence is kind of a time that like you're really unsure. There's a lot of like uncertainty, insecurity, confusion. And I think that Strata is like the best environment where you're not being coddled, but you're being supported and given the opportunity to grow. You're being pushed out of your comfort zone without like support, I guess. So you're able to do incredible things that you would never imagine doing, but there's still people to guide you, as they're called guides. Okay, so sorry, then coming back to high school, I think that this is kind of contributed by COVID. Obviously, we're online learning for a while, but I think a really over like present feeling that me and my other friends have is kind of just feeling like unheard. Like the administrators and the teachers are kind of just a little bit distanced, and they don't necessarily have as much, not regard, but kind of regard. And you kind of just feel as if you're just like in a system and you're not really like getting as much out of it. And it's kind of like discouraging, especially as someone like me who is really passionate about specifically like humanities and like English and like social studies and such like that. It's kind of like frustrating. And I kind of have this feeling where it's like sometimes, oh, is it all for nothing? And it's never a feeling that I had at Strata. So I'm like trying to work my way through it, because everything I did at Strata, I felt successful doing, and I felt fulfilled, and I felt good and proud of all my work. And sometimes the way that I'm feeling lately don't really give me the same feelings, unfortunately. But as I go through and as I do more projects and work with more teachers and assignments and do different initiatives, as well as like jobs that I have, I just become more and more grateful for my experience at Strata. So even just as far as like academic skills, like I said, with math, I'm like the person in the class that like has a question every 5 seconds. And I never would have been that person without Tony. I literally owe all of my success in the math specifically to Tony.
Checks in the mail, checks in the
And-
mail.
And I would always say, oh, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at math. And he would always give me a hard time about that because he said, you just need to apply yourself and you need to change your mindset. And that's what happened. And I'm doing great in math. I did great in math last year as well. And then as far as like writing, I'm pretty proud of my writing skills, and that is obviously completely owed to Strata because a lot of my friends came into grade 9 and didn't even know the structure of an essay, or they didn't know how to do a critical reflection. And critical analysis is something that I learned at Strata without even knowing. And it's something that I used throughout my entire life, even just in conversations and in discussions. And I'm just forever grateful. Okay, then I'm going to talk about my skills that I just like distinctly gained from my experience at Strata. So the first one is like responsibility and maturity. And those are two things that I thought I was pretty good at before I came to Strata. And then I left Strata like feeling like even more incredible about those two aspects. And I think that it's really feels good when other people acknowledge that. So when I had the opportunity to come back and like visit Justin and all the students like maybe 3 months ago, I don't actually know when, it was in the beginning of the year, and Justin described me as that, and my teachers now do, my parents, and it feels really good because I wouldn't necessarily say that I work as hard to be responsible. I think it comes really natural now, which is really valuable inside of school, at jobs, in post-secondary, and also maturity. So before you guys all joined, Justin was just talking to me about something that was going on in my life. I applied for a student trustee position at my school board, and it was given to 2 students. Unfortunately, I was not one of them. I was the runner-up, but I had to get 3 teacher references. So I got 2 from my current school and 1 from Justin Metz, and all 3 of them went on about my maturity, and they talked to how I would definitely be good working with adults and professionals on the school board. And that was something that I was really happy about, that I got from Strata, because you're dealing with businesses, you're talking to other adults at cafe, you're communicating with the guides. You have an opportunity to, as I was saying earlier, kind of interact with adults and professionals and like business people, I guess, without being in a really scary, like insecure environment. And you're able to gain a lot from those experiences. So even just as far as like my Strata, my cafe, when I would reach out and like talk about like different coffee distributors, or when I had to like research a new coffee machine and all that stuff, it just like kind of opened me up to a different world of interacting with people. Leadership is another amazing thing. I actually am a key holder at my job now, which means I'm like a weekend supervisor. And my boss just said that she really noticed a lot of good leadership skills in me. And I said, I'm like, oh, actually, that is literally because I went to this adolescent school before I came to Doyle. And so Cafe Stracella, which was the like music festival I planned in my grade 7 year, I helped plan my grade 7 graduation. I planned my grade 8 graduation a lot by myself. And even end of the day cleaning, I was like in charge of that in grade 9. And all of those experiences gave me leadership skills that I apply throughout my life, like I'm saying, without even noticing. So today we were doing a group project in one of my classes, and I just kind of stepped up and took over and helped people who weren't as comfortable like talking in groups, and people who had these great ideas but weren't necessarily sure how to communicate them and share them, and who or were too nervous to talk in front of the class. And my teacher acknowledged that, and she said that she thinks that I'm a good leader. And I said that it's because of Strata. And so leadership skills are something that I think are so valuable, again, in the society, because you need to be able to speak up for yourself. And even as far as like things that you're passionate about, like movements or like injustices, being able to be a leader and stand up and advocate for things that you're passionate about is so valuable in our society. And I think that academic, job, leadership, but even as far as that, I definitely gained a lot from Strata that I'll definitely take past my high school experience. Another one is, I already kind of touched on, is academic confidence. So like I said about Tony, I'm comfortable asking questions, and I'm happy to be the person who asks the questions that everyone else is too afraid to say, because I'm kind of, if I can maybe take a little bit of stress off someone else who doesn't have the comfortability, then I'm okay doing that. And I'm okay asking questions for other subjects. I love sending in my work early to get feedback. I love going to teachers after classes and just like communicating with them and talking to them. And I'm not afraid of coming off a certain way, because at the end of the day, if I ask for clarification, I'm gonna probably do better than if I was just to sit and stay quiet and have all these questions building up. And a passion for learning. So I think that someone may have said this in my group. I definitely talked about passion, but I have a passion for learning now. And even though I don't have the same opportunities to do learning experiences and projects I did at Strata, when I do have the opportunity to do an essay or an assignment or a slideshow or whatever on something that I'm passionate about, I put so much effort into it and it feels so good and it feels fulfilling. And that is when I feel most successful, when I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, because I think that I'm going to keep coming back to it, but I think that passions are kind of maybe lost. I don't know. I think that a lot of people in my generation maybe just go with the flow and follow along with things that are trendy and like current. But standing up and standing out and doing what you believe in is really important now. And I'm like really proud to say that I do it. So sociology classes where I'm talking about social institution issues and such like that, I feel great talking about those things because Strata has given me the passion for learning and the skills to communicate my thoughts so well. My application of all these skills, I kind of have been integrating. It's so funny. I like write down what I want to talk about, but then I just like in my mind, like kind of form them all together anyways. But so I said I'm a key holder at my job. Staying on top of my work is something that we just switched back to a semester from doing quadmester. So a lot of my friends are feeling really like stressed and troubled. And although it is a little bit of like you kind of have to like adjust and get used to it, I feel really confident in the way that I'm doing it because Strata also helped me, especially in my grade 9 year, kind of break down what I need to get done when, kind of help me like time management better. And that's something that like is a really practical skill that I think a lot of people struggle with that isn't necessarily integrated into like a public school education so much anymore, because I see a lot of my friends struggling with it, unfortunately. And like I said, a group leader at school, at work, I'm comfortable stepping up. And I think that that's a valuable skill to have because, as I said, like with COVID and such, I think there's a lot of like extra social anxiety amongst my age group. And I'm sure there will be like reports done on it or something in like 10 years. But I think a lot of people are kind of scared to like be a voice and like say things and do group presentations and to like do any type of presentations. So the fact that I have the comfortability and the skills to do that is, I think it's an asset to a lot of other people as well. And when I put passion into my work, like I'm literally just repeating myself, but when I put passion into my work and when I am passionate about something that I'm doing, it always comes out so much better. And what I said in my breakout group with Michael was, even if I do an assignment and I don't get an 100 on it, if it's something that I care about, it feels better than an 100 because it's something that I care about and it's something that I deem important. And a lot of those assignments are lost in public school. I'm seeing there's not a lot of like room to talk about social injustices or room to talk about like inequalities or room to talk about any of the big issues going on in our world. And that's really disappointing. So when I have an opportunity to do it, I definitely want to put my whole into it. I feel like I might just be missing anything. Okay, so sorry. The one thing that I did want to say about Strata as far as a downside was the only thing I can come to mind is that I didn't get my full grade 9 year in person, which is obviously something I was really disappointed about. But obviously, like it was COVID, like I couldn't do anything. But what I do want to say is that even when we switch